Well guys, you ready for part two? Let's get this thing going with my special little KVD buzzbait. Ready to run and gun? Time for blast off. Let's go. Hey guys, Todd here with you. Welcome back to Bassin 101. Part 2 of buzzbaits. Whew. And we're just scratching the surface of these things. Kind of gave you an introduction to some of the buzzbaits I have and any of the originals and the Stanley and stuff like that. I'm going to show you what I actually use. First off, I don't have any 1/8 ounce buzzbaits because I prefer to throw these things on a bait caster, and 1/8 ounce is just a lot easier to throw on a spinning rod. You can throw on a bait caster, I've done it before. But personally, to me the 1/4 ounce is kind of the smallest I go anyway. Just your standard 1/4 ounce buzzbait. Colors. I got boatloads of colors I throw. I throw white, chartreuse, and black. Yeah, white, chartreuse, and black. That's all I throw. I mean, here's my standard 3 buzzbaits. These are my old 1980 Strike Kings, all identical, all 1/4 ounce, white, chartreuse, and black. That's it. Clear water, darker days, rain, slightly stained water. Simple as that. I don't get any real complication with these things. The same thing goes with like the tri-wings. Tri-wings in the brighter blades, the chartreuse and the black. With a clear blade, I keep white. So if I need a tri-wing to fish a little bit slower, I still have my same 3 color options. Now for different sounds or different appearances, I do have the Delta, which really turns up the water, man. I mean, it really turns it up, and I still keep it in white. Because, you know, chartreuse and white would actually be a really good color for this. And I actually might change it to chartreuse and white, just because that's a good stained water kind of color. But it's also a good clear water color, so I actually might change the skirt to chartreuse and white. And then, you know, if I need a lot of color in the water, whether it's slightly stained, or we got a little bit of rain, or it's like, you see that real light rain where it's not really messing things up, but it's just enough to keep the disturbance going, that's a good spinnerbait. Especially if buzzbait, especially if you got a bright day. You know, it might be raining, but you've seen bright raining days. Well, that pearl white blade really comes in handy on days like that. And that's it. That's it. Like I said, the only modification I might make to it, like I'm just thinking, I might actually change this Delta to chartreuse and white. But that's because it's in between. It's in between these two right here, chartreuse and white. Mix them together, chartreuse and white. Now, when do I use them? Well, standard buzzbaiting, I'm going to throw a standard blade. These are my standard buzzbaits, just a 1/4 ounce flat standard style buzzbait for everyday fishing. And being a 1/4 ounce, it's not a fast burner. It's I'm not a fast retriever with buzzbaits anyway. I'm kind of just a casual guy. Once in a while I might skip it, you know, kind of twitch the rod, make it in the water as it's going. You know, if I'm not getting anything on a straight retrieve, I might switch to that, or I might burn it a little bit faster. But I'm really not a fast buzzbait person. So if I need to go even slower than what I'm doing, that's when I go to these. Still keeping that 1/4 ounce range, but I'm using a dry wing. And this allows you to throw it a lot slower. Does it create more commotion? Actually, I think it creates about the same commotion as these do, because these are a little bit faster. So these do more of a churning, or these do more of a thrashing. So really, as far as disturbance, to me, they're about the same. The delta, or the double delta, now that's going to create some surface disturbance. But it's also going to slow this bait down, because you've got two blades working opposite of each other. See that? If you watch, front's going this way, back's going this way. That's really going to slow that bait down. So to me, this is more shallow water, or if you're going to fish it in deep water, you want to throw it right up on the bank. Like riprap, things like that, you want it right up on the bank. This is not a deep water lure. Same as this, with the white blade. Now, what kind of water do you fish buzzbaits in? Buzzbait is basically a flat water bait. Now, what do I mean by flat water? Flat water means if you've got water that has a gradual depth change. I mean, you could be like a cast away from the bank, but you're sitting in 6 or 8 feet of water. That's flat water. When you got a bank that just goes straight down, or you got a bluff or something like that, that's not flat water. Okay, this is not a deep water technique. I'm not saying you can't catch them. I'm just saying, statistic wise, as far as the guys that catch bass on buzzbaits, don't catch them over deep water unless they're right up against the bank. I've caught bass on buzzbaits fishing, say, deep water points or channel banks, where they put riprap in there, and you might be sitting a cast away from the bank, say 30, 40 feet from the bank, and you're sitting 50 foot of water. But if you can parallel it, and you can throw right up on that rock and bring it just within 3 or 4 feet off the edge of that rock, that's where that comes in handy, because you're hugging that zone of, you get the water here, and if the bank starts going down like this, you're covering this little zone right here, at 4 or 5 feet of water. That's okay. You can do that. Shallow water brush piles, grass lines, anything that you got that's flat, that's what a buzzbait is best known for. It's not, like I said, it's not, I wouldn't be fishing open water points, throw a buzzbait out in open water. No, that's more for a buzzbait or a popar. I mean, a Zara spook or a popar. Not a buzzbait. That's not the kind of water. What about rivers? Oh yeah, a lot of your rivers are shallow anyway. Like what I have here behind the house, I got some places where the water just drops right off the bank into 10, 12 foot of water. If I throw that buzzbait up against there, I'm going to throw it. I'm going to get right up on the bank and throw it upstream and come right against the bank in about 3 or 4 feet of water. That is where that's going to come into play. Okay, that buzzbait is best for stuff like that. But you've seen where I have like the deep water on one side, but the other side I might have 4 or 5 feet of water. It's continuous until it hits that deep, that dip right there. Oh yeah, well then throw these. You can throw them all over the place over there, because you're looking at flat water until you get to a break line. Now, can you throw these on flat water, say 3 or 4 feet, and all of a sudden it might drop off into 5 or 6 feet, which is called structure, and it drops off or whatever? What about that? Well, that's when you can take that buzzbait and diagonal cast it from the bank, cover that water all the way to that break point. If you have grass or you have brush piles up along that break point, then I would throw that buzzbait in open water and fish that 3 foot to the break line drop off right there, and just follow the brush piles. Flat water. You don't. This is not a. You have to throw it against the bank every time to make it work. That's not what these buzzbaits are. So that's just kind of a general overview of them right there, guys. And ponds. If I'm fishing a pond, I'm going to be fishing right up against the bank. You could probably throw it out in the open water if it's a very shallow pond and you got a lot of grass. and you might have some trails going through the grass. You can throw your buzzbait in those trails and bring it back, just, you know, open water out there in the pond. Yeah, you can do that. I've done it. Lily pads. You know, if you got lily pads across the whole entire pond. Well, I mean, if you've got areas that you can get a buzzbait through, by all means, pitch it out there and bring the buzzbait through it. They've probably never seen one before, so you never know. It's up to your imagination. Just remember, it requires shallow to flat water. And that can be on a flat bank. It can be on a steep bank. Just keep it tight to the bank. So that's all I have for this episode, guys. So we'll see what we hit on the next one. So until next time, may the Father bless you and keep you in Yeshua's name. And as always, fish on.